Yeah, you mentioned 95. When the three of you were just whippersnappers, believe it or not, I covered the Braves' last World Series championship in 1995 for the Akron Beacon-Journal. They edged in 6 games the Cleveland Indians. So I was there for that, and I'm here for this, meaning I love it. This is incredible. If this is so incredible that if it were offered up as a movie script, I think it'd be turned down as something that's just too unrealistic. There's no way that that's happening. I mean, with all due respect, hopefully they don't take this the wrong way, because I mean it as a compliment.
Hello, Major League.
The Braves were darn near the Bad News Bears. I mean, let's look at this situation, really. Midway through the season, they lose one of their top players, Marcell Ozuna, to domestic violence charges. Then they lose their best player, Ronald Acuna Jr., to injury. At the time, they're below 500. They're 5 games out in the worst division in baseball. Instead of giving up and getting ready for the future, they go in and sign 4 fairly nondescript outfielders, none of whom's having a particularly good season. And then one of those, they get into the playoffs with the worst record of the 10 teams that make the postseason. And then one of those outfielders that they traded for at the deadline leads them to the NLCS championship over the defending world champion Dodgers. And then another of those 4 outfielders leads them to the World Series championship over the most hated team in baseball. And for a week, because they were playing the Astros, who everybody hates because of the cheating, they became America's team, because everybody outside of Houston was pulling for the Braves. And then on top of all of that, they won the World Series with the worst regular season record, the fewest wins in a 162-game season outside of the 1987 Minnesota Twins. So this was just fantastical. It was storybook and good for the Braves, Nick. It doesn't get any better than this.
And I want to talk about one of those outfielders, Jorge Soler, the World Series MVP, and a guy who hit the longest home run. I don't care what it's measured at. The longest home run not hit by Albert Pujols in the history of Minute Maid Park. Pujols hit a different, very famous home run in a series his team ultimately didn't win. Soler hit maybe the most famous now home run in the history of the park. And what a great pimp job by him afterwards. But I joked when he hit his first home run in the World Series, I said Royals great Jorge Soler, because he previously was on my favorite team, the Kansas City Royals. But I think his story is one that is unique to baseball in this regard. I do wonder how many Jorge Solers are out there waiting for their opportunity. So if people don't know, his journey, he was on the Cubs when they won the World Series, but he was a bench player. He had a handful of at-bats in that World Series. He got a ring, but he wasn't a huge part of it. The next year, when the Cubs were trying to repeat, they traded him for Wade Davis, the great closer for the Kansas City Royals, because they were trying to upgrade their bullpen. He goes to Kansas City and is one of the few bright spots on a miserable team. He hit 48 home runs, which sounds like a lot, but I'm going to tell you it's actually more than that, because the previous Royals record was 38 home runs. Team had never had someone hit 40 in the history of the franchise. He hit 48 in that monster park, but nobody cared. Nobody knew. Outside of Kansas City, he was just a guy. And this year, he was just a guy on a bad team with the Royals. And at the deadline, he goes to the Braves. And now he's a legend forever. He hit 3 home runs in the World Series. He hit the 3-run shot that broke this game open. And I just do wonder, because in basketball, if you're great, we absolutely know it, and you can carry a team. In football, if you're great, we know it, and even if you can't carry a team by yourself, you can get notoriety and impact. Jorge Soler, if he's not traded to the Braves, Nobody knows his name outside of Kansas City. Nobody cares about his story. A Cuban defector, a guy who, like I mentioned, had won a World Series with the Cubs. Nobody cares. But now he's a legend in the city of Atlanta forever. He gets this moment, this trophy, that 3-run shot forever. And I'm happy for him. But Wildes, I'm also curious, how many other guys are there? Is there a Jorge Soler on the Pirates? Is there one this year on the Marlins that's just like, man, if only I had the stage and the opportunity? Because some people knew he was great, but most people didn't even know his name. Now his name rings forever. I think it's a great story, and I'm super happy for him.
Yeah, it's a great take. So you talked about sort of under-the-radar superstars. I'm going to talk about on-the-radar superstars. Our guy, Freddie Freeman. So after the game, shout out to Big Papi. Big Papi took out the money gun and shot it at Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman's laughing because he's in free agency. Also, if you look at here, checks out the money. He's like, hold on, is this real? He's like, no, it's not. It's like, is this actually real? Is this part of my contract? So here's what the Braves need to do, Nick. Maybe they contact your inventor buddy, Ryan, and you make a money cannon. Yeah. And you load it up with about $155 million, and you shoot it at Freddie Freeman. He's holding up a World Series trophy, and last year he won the MVP. Reason number 2, Broussard, I think you pay extra for leadership. I do think that with the signings that they have, those guys were able to succeed because there was a foundational rock of leadership that Freddie Freeman has been providing for the organization that he's been with since he's 17. I also think Acuna is better with Freddie Freeman on the team, sort of pass the torch in Atlanta. And here's the thing. I know the idea is, well, if you play it out, the number crunchers, he'll be 37, he'll be making $35 million. Whatever. He deserves the Jeter treatment. Go try to find one Yankees fan. And all Yankees fans knew that Derek Jeter was probably overpaid for his production on the field in the latter part of his career. Would any Yankees fan feel like, you know what? I wouldn't mind if Derek Jeter suited up for the Toronto Blue Jays for a few years. That wasn't valuable for me. The old tip of the cap, I trade that. I wouldn't mind if he was with the Rockies and we could sign a no-name second baseman. No. Pay for leadership. You have a dynasty franchise player that has been with you since he was a teenager. Load up the money cannon and shoot it at him.
For the record, Wildes,
I like it.
Sorry, Broussard, I'll throw it to you in just one second. I totally agree with you that they should do that. I'm not sure if they will. And on Freddie Freeman's future, I do think, because our colleague Joe Buck, who is just head and shoulders the best play-by-play guy in the world, he was catching hell because he said what was true. He said what could be Freddie Freeman's last at-bat as a Brave, and people got mad at him. That was part of the storyline, that could have been his last moment as a Brave, and it had to be acknowledged that the job of someone doing the play-by-play for the World Series is not to be concerned about everyone's feelings. It's to set the scene and paint an accurate picture, and that was part of the story. Now, will the Braves in the jubilation Broussard of the World Series do something that, as Wildes put it, the number crunchers would say, I'm not sure if this is a positive EV move. Maybe they will. I would argue they should. And the other element of it is whatever you thought his value was at the trade deadline. Because the Braves could have gone the other direction, right? Instead of going all in, they could have said, he's going to walk. Right. We're at 500. They could have traded him. Yep. Whatever you thought his number value was, Broussard, it's now up by 25% at least because he helped deliver you this. Based on the money you are going to make in the upcoming 18 months by being the World Series champions and, Broussard, by delivering a championship to a snake-bitten city. That's the other element of this. Atlanta's had some bad sports luck, man. I know they got that championship 25 years ago, but Braves fans feel like they should have gotten more. The Hawks finally are showing some life, and we know the Falcons tortured history in the postseason. So for all those reasons, I agree with Wildes 100%, Broussard. I don't know if the Braves are going to do it.
5 years, big money. I think it's more about the years. Wildes, I don't want him, for several years when he's no longer that good. But 5 years, could he still be good for 4 of those years? Really good for 4 and pretty good in the 5th? Sure. 5 years, big money. As Nick said, he's a legend in that city. They have been to, I think, 16 straight postseasons without winning the championship. And now he finally delivers. No, you got to sign him.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.